For luxury players, it's quite impossible to sell outside of their jurisdictions. Any company that is above 10% here is definitely a trendsetter. Even if you talk about UNAS compared to what Altair generates in retail, it's not there. It's not even at 10%. Chat GPT, for example, within OpenAI has had we're at 4.0 now, so about the 10th version since it came live. The fact that it actually can compose code by itself and without any errors is just insane.
What are you using it for? Are you using it for content? Are you using for
content for sure. Ad,
social
critical
media.
reasoning, a partner to ask weird questions and get even weirder answers. You know?
Best tools for ad creation, customization, and optimization.
TikTok.
For our listeners today and viewers, we have Jad Sfeir, who is the CEO of The Good Life, right? A top...
No, actually, pole dancer by day.
Pole dancer by day. Very, very, very nice. And CEO of Good Life.
Ecom aficionado by night.
Okay, let's go. Great. Cool. And I'm joined today with Zena Kettaneh, who is a performance planning lead from Publicis Media, correct? Working on Samsung.
Correct.
So thankfully she'll be able to give us some really nice, cool performance insights today, or
Thank
commentary. Not that we need it. Of course, Jad doesn't need it, right? Jad's launched many successful brands online.
So
hopefully we'll get some good content. Yeah, let's jump right into it. Today's topic is e-commerce, and I want to start by asking: has e-commerce become mainstream in the region or not yet? It's been here for a while now, right?
It has, but I mean, define mainstream. Has e-commerce become mainstream? That's a very weird question, actually. It has become a priority for a lot of companies. It has become a bit of a mass adoption because you have more and more e-com pure players. So pure player means no physical presence. And it has developed itself into also services. So we're talking cloud kitchens, we're talking home services for, beauticians, beauty hair salons, and so on, which you can now find only on apps that do not have any physical presence. So yes, I would say e-com in a sense has become more of present.
Yeah.
But in terms of mainstream, I mean, a lot of companies are still reluctant. There's a difficulty in the adoption of the idea that e-com needs consequential investments and a lot of preparation. I would say the mindset in the region here is still about acquiring great locations and great malls and opening flagship stores, as a priority rather than developing the best e-com experience that you can and just put stores in a second tier, But yeah, we are seeing more and more of these brands that are coming in e-com first. So, for example, to give an example of a brand that was created locally and is a big hit now in the region, Giving Movement, which started e-com, is now developing stores and physical presences in order to validate their e-com, and it's actually doing a great job. So
online to offline. I mean, when you look at penetration of e-commerce, you look at the numbers. You'd be surprised to see that it's still very low in terms of penetration and usage.
Not surprised. It's actually it's a fact of how much investment is coming into it. If you need to take a benchmark, Amazon was losing and investing hundreds of millions of dollars year on year for over 2 decades, to get where it is today. Noon has invested a couple of billions to start with, and then is now investing a few other 100 millions over the years, and is growing fairly quickly. UNAS, for example, which has reached their billion dirham milestone last year, which is also growing relative to their investment. And also with the market that they serve. And let's not forget that a lot of the regulations make it close to impossible to sell in Europe, for example, if you're not based in Europe. If your fulfillment is done outside of Europe, your taxations are just going to be outlandish. US is a lot easier because they're de minimis. So I don't know if you're familiar with that, but de minimis is the minimum amount that can be non-taxable when entering the country. So the de minimis in the US is below $800, which still makes it quite affordable for you to buy premium and aspirational products without getting taxed on entry. So again, that's why a lot of the e-coms are still trying to fulfill, in the US. But for luxury players, it's quite impossible to sell outside of their jurisdictions.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you speak about the US, the e-com penetration kind of makes up for all the barriers to entry. We're talking about 50%, 55%.
Correct.
Perhaps 60% e-com penetration versus sub 10% potentially in the region.
I mean, any company that is above 10% here is definitely a trendsetter.
Yeah, so, right.
You know, I only know of very few. Even if you talk about Unas compared to what El Tire generates in retail, it's not there. It's not even at 10% yet. You know, there are some of the brands which are breaking this threshold and are getting to what we call our benchmark in retail e-com. The delta, the benchmark, the ratio should be 1 to 5. So about 20% e-com for an 80% generation on physical stores.
Right.
But there's very few that are getting there.
Yeah. You've mentioned regulations, for example. Potentially other things could be alternative payment options, cash on delivery, the buy now, pay later model. How do you feel about that? Do you think that these could be drivers or challenges, or these are these
they've
challenges?
Been drivers for sure.
Social commerce, subscription models. Let's look into them.
Any service that you can propose on e-com will give you a new niche target. You know, a new adopter that for one reason or another did not want to adopt. Buy now, pay later, BNPLs are definitely a very big breaker of barriers to entry on e-com. Yeah. There's a lot of people here that don't trust the website, don't want to put their card details, you know, so getting a payment platform that creates its own trust and then gives you that leverage to use on other websites is definitely making it easier for, I mean, even if you think about it, one of the biggest service, for example, which I think he is now not top 1 or number 2 in the region, Tabby as a BNPL, right?
Yeah. Isn't it the first unicorn from the region, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes,
also
it is.
As well, right? Yeah.
Well, second if you count Noon.
Yeah. Okay.
And actually third because Kareem, right?
Yeah,
I think Kareem sold
sure,
before.
Honestly.
Yeah, I think Kareem sold before.
For over $1 billion.
For over $1 billion valuation. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like Tabby did an amazing. Hossam started in e-com. He started a Namshi here, right? And he left Namshi after it was purchased by Amar, which is now part of Noon. And then he created his Tabby. And honestly, it was a hit from the beginning. It wasn't easy, but he created something. And they shifted from the 14 days pay later app where you buy your product and then you'll pay in 14 days, which gave customers trust in buying a product, because now, you know, the barriers before were, I'll pay, you're going to deduct my money, and then 2 weeks later I still don't have my products. So
zero fees.
Giving that 14 days for zero fees and saying you will only get charged once you receive. So the 14-day countdown only starts when you receive the product, which technically means that's another leverage that you give to your customers, was a number one. And then they shifted into the pay in installments. For 0%. And that today is over 90% of their transaction. I think they're phasing out the 14 days pay later anyways.
Just making it much more easier for the customer to make a decision.
Now, on other parts, cash on delivery, for example, is not as glamorous as people might think. The difference is that because you have no leverage, your cancellation rates go through the roof. You know, especially when it comes to luxury products, there's a lot of that goes with impulse buy. And usually when you go with impulse buy and you use your card, there's a lot of people that are not going to go through the hassle of calling the bank saying, I want to cancel the transaction, please refund me, and so on. when it's cash on delivery, you haven't been charged until you get the product. And by the time you get the product, you look at it and you're like, I don't want it. You close the door on the delivery guy and then it gets shipped back to you. You have incurred no cost, right? In Saudi, it gets all the way up to like 50% cancellation rate. It's insane.
So do you think cash on delivery is a fad and it's going to die out?
I think cash on delivery is a way to grow that is not sustainable.
Okay. So potentially a growth tactic that's not
See,
sustainable.
The thing is like, so with every service, if you propose something and then you remove it, it kind of like, you know, slashes out from your growth afterwards.
Yeah.
So you might grow. It's like buying likes and buying followers on social media.
To get started.
You can hunk up that number, but then there's no interaction, there's no organic growth, there's no nothing. You know, it's just a number. So if you want a digit, pay $1,000, you get 100,000 digits followers, and then 100 likes on your pictures. And you know, now a lot more people are savvy about this, so they know that their number of followers is not reflective of how strong the account is and what the interaction is on that. So it's the same thing with cash on delivery. If you want to show how many orders you do without telling people how much costs and how much returns and cancellation you're getting, then yes, it's a great tactic.
Mm-hmm. There are a couple other points actually that are either challenges or drivers, which are, one is subscription models.
Definitely growth. But the problem is it needs to be done well. You know, if you do a subscription and you miss out on that, you lose trust. If you deliver on that subscription, then great. I mean, subscription model for most people are still, within the region here, are still about consumable services, not consumable products, you know. But subscription outside in the US and Europe today is getting more and more into FMCGs. It's getting more and more into products. You know, you buy yogurt,
fresh
and then
if
you buy yogurt and milk, you're going to need that every day or two, you know. And subscription models in the US, so this is where your mindset is different. In the US, they had the subscription model for milk since the 80s. You know, when your milkman actually came to deliver it at your home. You know, which makes it a lot easier for them to subscribe because it's just the same service went digital, you know. For other countries like France or England or here, you don't really have a milkman, you know. Nobody actually delivered that product on a daily basis to your doorstep. So getting to the subscription, you're like, maybe I'll want skimmed milk tomorrow, or maybe I want to buy full fat milk the next day, or maybe I don't want halloum, maybe I want, you know what I mean? So, and this type of, it comes from a mindset of being able to go to the supermarket and select what we wanted, or call our local grocery man, you know, and tell them, can you deliver this and that today? I think we're seeing this area or subscription models grow in the meal planning and or food delivery maybe sector.
A bit on Amazon as well.
On Amazon, right? With
I mean, you have it; it's available. But I would be very interested. I don't have the numbers, but I'd be very interested to know how infinitesimal it is compared to the total business of, or compared to subscription in the US or in other countries.
I have a feeling we'll see the likes of Talabat and Kareem and potentially other food aggregators venture into subscription. They've already
did a big step over the past few years, right? Deliveroo with Deliveroo Plus, Kareem with Kareem Plus. You know, I'm still quite weirded out that Uber didn't do anything similar in that in their platforms as well. Where they like Kareem, for example, went a step ahead Deliveroo and give you cash back on your rides, as well as the food service for free. So subscription model is a very safe way, especially for public companies. It's very different. You don't really need this type of inflationary or like revenue stream when you're not public. So you might be able to sell services for others. Subscription makes a very stable income come in, and you can declare that this income is keeping in, you know.
Okay. Great cash flow out.
I mean, it's the total valuation behind Netflix, you know, which is a lot more on how many subscribers you have, Disney, you know, all of these, their complete valuation is a lot more about the number of subscribers than the actual content that they generate.
Right. Okay, interesting. Well, thanks for sharing all that information. Last question around this topic is around cookie deprecation. Now we know today that Google, I love that laugh and that smile. There's a lot that's hiding behind that. But we know that Google's pushed it yet another year potentially.
Yeah.
But I think we're all seeing the effect on that on performance marketing, and I know how much performance marketing is important for e-commerce, right, for growth.
I love
what are you seeing from your end? I mean, what are the alternatives?
A very big part of my life is how we called it cookie. Technically saying that there's a gratification that comes from it, but the gratification is on the other side, because if you hold the cookie, then every other business knows where you've been.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, you're the business.
I mean, look, if I can today, if you think about it, like 5 years ago, if you rejected the cookies, you might have been rejected from the site, right? They wouldn't upload the page. They'll tell you like, do it again, and ask you again if are you sure you don't want the cookies. But today, most of the websites, because of that cookie deprecation, because it's going obsolete, because you can reject all and still be able to browse and continue your experience, which I prefer by far, especially now that I think a lot of consumers are aware about what cookies do and what they allow you to track. I think more and more people just want to feel that they're not being watched.
Yeah.
But they're still being watched.
I mean, personally, if you don't want to be watched, sell your iPhone, go live on an island, and make sure you don't have neighbors. That's all from a user perspective. When you look at it from a business perspective, today, I'm sure this has affected your ROAS, your conversion tracking, your volumes.
Definitely.
Your cost efficiency, all of that.
Definitely, but not less or more than every 6 months when Google decides to change its algorithm, So there are definitely barriers, and whenever you get to a point, people need to monetize. Cookie deprecation doesn't mean that you won't have any other way to follow your consumer. It just means that it's going to change.
True, but doesn't that mean that you need to focus on your first-party data and how you can actually enrich your first-party data and complement it?
Wouldn't it be so nice if that was the case? But don't you think that there's something coming that's better than a cookie that we might call lollipop or something? I think we're going there. Yes, cookie deprecation is real. But in the end, I mean, it's the same as Google changing its analytical platform and its reporting platform and making it better. I think there will only be cookie deprecation once they know what's coming afterwards. I don't think we're gonna. I hope it would be an ideal world, but I don't think we're gonna get to a world where we won't have tracking.
Yeah, you definitely have tracking, but I mean,
there are alternatives.
But the importance of the first-party data that you can actually complement it with second and third-party data.
Yes, but it depends on it's also depending on your business.
With unique IDs.
It depends on the perishability of your product. It depends on the return rate of your consumer.
The life cycle.
Yeah, exactly. Not the life cycle. So a life cycle is technically from the beginning to the end, the whole purchase and interaction of the customer with the brand, right? The frequency of return means that throughout that life cycle, how many times this person will buy. Your frequency on your CLV in Amazon, for example, is once a month or once a week or a few times a week. Yeah. But your frequency on Louis Vuitton, for example, even though your CLV is the same length as Amazon, is maybe once every 6 months.
Which is similar to Samsung as well.
Yeah, exactly. You see what I mean? So it really depends on the perishability of your product. Nobody buys very big investment on Amazon. You don't buy your iPhone. I don't think a lot of people buy their iPhones on Amazon, but I think a lot of people buy their very weirdly all products from Unilever, P&G and so on, especially when they do their 11/11 Singles Day and their and their Black
the discounts
Friday
and the promotions.
Exactly.
Yeah. But sorry to interrupt you, but a lot of people buy their Samsung from Amazon. I know Samsung has big partnership always every year, right, with Amazon,
because it's very price sensitive.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's much cheaper to buy it on Amazon than buying it from Samsung's website.
Okay.
But then you don't get the added value that Samsung is giving you. First, you're buying it from the brand. You get loyalty points. You get exclusive colors. You get those warranties, Samsung Care, and so on. So it all depends on the user.
Tell us what you're seeing from your side, Inti, with cookie deprecation.
I think because each brand knows their customers, and no one knows their customers more than the brand itself, because you're actually you have their personal data, you have their website, and then if you complement it with other data solutions, then you can actually identify this user that has bought from your website this product that much throughout the 6 month or 1 year. You can actually interpret his behavior across other platforms and other industries and within his day-to-day stuff, so that you can actually identify that this user has this specific ID, and then you can generate a display campaign or any paid promotion campaign to target those specific IDs on other platforms, in other point of sales, in other places. So it's kind of leveraging your first-party data, understanding your personas, and just following this specific persona depending on his behavior or his media consumption or his day-to-day life across other apps.
I completely agree. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that for Amazon, this would cost tens of billions of dollars more than for other brands that have less, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like more niche, more targeted consumers. Because Amazon is trying to cater for 7 or maybe 5 of the 7 billion people in the world, it doesn't really make a lot of sense for them to invest a lot on FPD. And still, as customized as they would want and as trackable as they would like, AI is definitely more of an investment major for Amazon than what's the follow-up of cookies and what's, knowing my consumer more. But yes, I completely agree. For Samsung, for other brands that are really trying to create brand equity through interpersonal relations with their consumer, it definitely makes a lot of sense.
Cool. Let's switch gears and talk
as
about...
in faster or slower?
No, as in different
direction.
Different direction. So today, technology continues to evolve, right? We're seeing recent development when it comes to technology, whether it's AI, whether it's image recognition, augmented reality, voice assistant, even in robotics, right?
I mean, voice assistant, it's an obsolete in my opinion.
Very good, because I was just going to ask you, how do you see e-commerce affected by these technological advancements? Do you see any areas being affected?
Definitely.
For example, if we look into AI, let's start with AI.
Definitely. AI does... the world of AI is so broad. It's like... try to think about it as a way where whatever you do and that usually took a second is now going to take a 10th of a millionth of a nanosecond, and let's say you want to write an essay of 300 words with the right prompts, which is going to take you about 30 seconds, and then ChatGPT is going to take another 30 seconds. You can do
in 1 minute,
in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
If you want to go the extra mile, you'll read it and you might change a few words. That's another 5 minutes, and then you're done. Well, that's a 300-word essay on a normal day would take 2 to 3 hours, right, for a person to ponder, think, write, delete, rewrite. So you've just went for about 118 minutes to less than 10.
Yeah.
So 18x, let's say safely 20x. Imagine you can do that on everything.
How are you using today AI to grow your customer base?
I think we're very basic right now, because the solutions are expensive, because they are not meant for everybody to be able to afford right now. But as we've seen everything in technology and software, give it a couple of years and it becomes, pennies on the dime. So
more accessible.
Super accessible, not only more accessible. Exactly.
Yeah.
So ChatGPT, for example, within OpenAI has had we're at 4.0 now, so about the 10th version since it came live. It's insane, the speed at which the fact that it actually can compose code by itself and without any errors is just insane.
So what are you using for? What are you using it for? Are you using it for content? Are you using for
content for sure? Ad,
social
critical
media.
reasoning. A partner to ask weird questions and get even weirder answers.
Yeah.
You know, I'll give you an example. Okay, so I dabble with crypto. Yeah. So I asked ChatGPT, where do you see crypto in the next 5 years? And she gives you that very politically correct answer, where it's like, we cannot predict with I'm like, Chat, BS. Is that because humans say that a lot on the web, or is it just your assumption? She's like, no, that's because humans say it a lot on the web.
That's very reassuring.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I think the biggest pain point is gonna be to understand what is misinformation, what is disinformation, what is malinformation, the difference between them, and what is the true information. And this is where it becomes scary, because I mean, AIs can create anything. They can generate pictures out of thin air of natural disasters that never happened, with the history of the planet that we are unaware of, you know. And so with your own knowledge, you need to be able to assess what is true, what is not.
Yeah.
And this is where it's going to be very, very, very weird.
Right. Any other technological advancements you see has had an impact on e-commerce?
I mean, listen, search up until AI was getting more and more developed, right? Because not only about how fast you'd get, but also how accurate you would get, and the type of results you would get. You know, like you'd go onto a website, and the nicest website would actually allow you to search any keyword and can give you anything that's correlated to that, with pictures and the price that's directly on the pop-up of the search, without having to go and deeper into.
But this is fed manually. Like when we set up the campaign,
almost.
You still need
so
like manual
you would need to correlate the products manually, you know. But then after that, you could also integrate the fact that some key metrics like lookalike audiences, but you can do lookalike products. You know what I mean? Like whoever, like Zeina searched on this product and was actually searched after to this product, this recommendation would actually get fed into the search engine. Which is
already there. It's already on the platforms. But imagine with Google, like the RSAs.
Imagine with AI.
Yeah, integrating AI within the RSAs. So instead of putting like 15 different headlines to personalize the messaging.
And some have already started.
AI
just, you know, it's insane. I mean, AI today, for example, is being integrated into fulfillment, is being integrated into, you know, and think about it this way. We've just integrated a supercomputer into robots' warehouses, which were actually managed by maybe less than 10 human beings, you know, and then 150,000 robots inside. And now there's a supercomputer that's smarter than any of these 10 human beings.
That was my next question. Like, do you think we're going to be unemployed soon?
Yeah. I mean,
we're not.
The use cases of AI are infinite, you know, from, for example, how to reduce your cancellation, your returns rate, how to get more cost efficient with logistics, maximize your productivity, and so on and so forth. It's insane. The use cases are insane.
Interesting.
I was hearing on the radio a couple of days ago, they're expecting that by 2030, more than 30% of the workforce worldwide would get their jobs and promotions depending on how good they are utilizing AI. So it's all about, so technically they're expecting 30% of the population of the world to become prompters.
Wow. Great, let's get started then.
Without clients first.
You better make ChatGPT your best friend for the next few years.
I mean, when big data became a thing, I think a lot of people, demanded that we are more data driven in our decisions. Our decisions are more informed decisions. You know, and I feel like
we got to a point where we had too much data, we didn't know what to do with it, you know, and they're like, oh, I know that, I know all of this, but I really don't know anything.
Yeah, but now you have AI.
Now you have somebody that can actually make use of that data, which is insane.
100%. Cool. Let's go into another area, which is brands venturing into e-commerce, venturing in e-commerce.
Venturing, okay.
Right? What's your quick recommendation? D2C versus Amazon FBA, for example.
Okay. Look, there's not one size fits all. I don't think that 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 benchmark of 2080 works for everybody, and I don't think that anybody should have both online and e-com and physical, and that it works great for everybody. I think that the first question is be very honest with yourself and see what you want to do with your online. Like, don't open an online because you're supposed to open an online, or because you're supposed to do millions of dollars in sales. Open your online understanding what you want, and it could be very practical. Like, I want an online because I want to be able to show my catalog of products to customers, whether it's in store or outside, for example. Have a specific goal, because if you don't have that, you're going to spend a lot of money and you're not going to make any in return.
Right.
Even if you go to, like, once you open the online, then you go into the marketing. How do you target? Where do you target? If you're not honest with yourself at the beginning, you won't be able to cope with how much cost you're going to have to spend afterwards.
Gotcha.
So it's a mix between the business objectives and understanding your consumers.
It has to be a holistic strategy. If you want to be a pure play online retailer, that's great. But, like, decide why you want to your online, how many products you want to sell. All of these metrics are going to be detrimental for how much cost you need to put in and what's the effort that you need to do around. If you're going to open an online to sell services or to sell less than 1,000 products ever in your lifetime, then it makes sense to just go and fetch one of these, ready-made Shopify, Wix, any. It makes sense. It's cheap. It's alterable. It's open source. You can probably change whatever you want. You can get a very decent setup for $150 or $250. There are so many developers that know how to amend it, how to change it. It's very easy. You have supports everywhere. Don't go into Magento, and I've seen so many businesses go into Magento and spending $50,000 to sell 50 SKUs. I'm like, why?
There's no point. Just put an influencer post.
Exactly. I mean, why are you spending? Dude, you should have spent $500 on your website and $40,000 marketing the website, because by the time you spend $50,000, like, I don't have any time, any marketing budget.
Interesting.
So also it could also just be an influencer for it could be a reason for a website. Could be driving traffic to a store as well. There's no limitation. It can be a continuation. It can be a player on its own.
It's diverse depending on
the first one is be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
What you want to do with it, and stick to your plan.
Yeah.
Don't. Yes, I know. In the world of entrepreneurship and growing businesses, pivoting is amazing, right? Yeah, don't pivot that much. Pivoting costs money also, and so it really depends. Again,
stick to the plan.
Stick to the plan. At least for a year before you decide to pivot.
And last one for new brands venturing in e-commerce, or brands venturing in e-commerce: performance marketing or branding?
What do you want?
What's best to start with? What's best to invest in?
Okay, there's no easy answer. Branding or performance marketing. Are you selling affordable, or are you selling like not affordable, like aspirational luxury?
Right. Okay.
If you're selling affordable, people will not care about the branding. They just care about the price.
Functionality.
They care about the trust in you delivering. They care, so these are like it gets very basic, So definitely performance marketing.
Okay.
If you're trying to sell vegetables, I mean, there's only so much of a branding exercise you can do. It's more about them trusting the fact that you're going to deliver, that your price is right, that your product's clean.
Yeah.
And this is where your branding exercise gets. But when you're trying to sell products that are, a bag for $1,000, then you need to make people understand what's sexy about your bag. Why should I buy yours and not this other one for $100? Why should I buy a Samsung TV and not a TCL, or TCL is going for half the price? And they also said they're OLED, and they also say So why am I? And this is where your differential starts.
Yeah, makes total sense. Great. I think we have a couple minutes left, 3 minutes left.
We never asked Zena what she thinks.
I want to ask Zena what she thinks. What do you think, Zena?
On everything.
We have a we have a segment that Zeina will cover.
Okay.
But before we get to that segment, what do you think?
I think this point specifically, it all goes back to the price of the product and where you categorize it, because you can buy a luxury brand or a luxury product, but then you have the same luxury price range with another brand, and they both sell you this aspirational stuff and so on. So similar to Samsung, like you have this phone or you have this TV or this washing machine, but then you have other competitors selling you the same features and so on. So this is where the branding, which Samsung has been working on for the past decades, to actually reach to a stage where you feel not brand equity, but you're safe when you say Samsung. Versus when you say LG, okay, fine, maybe. So now I'm being subjective.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
very subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, but
and she's also Korean.
Yeah. So I think it's a matter of the specific product. So even within the television, like you have a huge price range of TVs ranging from like $200 to $20,000.
Yeah.
So it's all about.
I mean, what's interesting to know is, I'm sure. What's interesting to know is that, for example, Samsung is, I think the ratio today owns any 80% of screens worldwide on any device is a Samsung.
Mm-hmm.
It's a manufacturer. Yeah.
Wow.
Can you imagine the volume?
Yeah, insane.
Apple is Samsung.
Yeah.
Apple's screen is Samsung.
Wow. It's Samsung.
Can we repeat that?
Okay. Most of the Chinese television brands, their screens are either LG or Samsung.
True.
You know, they are the biggest manufacturers of screens worldwide.
Yeah.
It's
but the
insane.
content of Apple is inspirational, you know, it's all about the image, whereas Samsung is more of the functionality and the features that are really one step ahead of Apple. If we tap into the zoom camera and those specific features.
You know, brainwashed for brainwashed, then it gets a different story. You're preaching Samsung, but you're using an iPhone, so
we can remove that.
We'll cut that off. So let's jump to the last bit.
All right. Good one.
Where it's a Samsung. Didn't we say it's a Samsung underneath?
Yes.
I don't know. My iPhone, my heart wants to say Samsung.
Yeah, because I just want easy stuff. Like for me, it's also a preference. Like I don't care about the features. I just want something easy.
Yeah. Let's jump directly to the last segment. We're gonna ask you a series of rapid fire questions. And Zena, you want to tell us a little bit more?
So I'm going to call it the battle of the platforms. So very quick questions that are performance-related questions. So your answers can be strictly TikTok, Snapchat, Meta, or YouTube. Just whatever platform you think fits best as an answer.
Okay.
If you want to say Google, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. We're not gonna hold you back.
Okay. How many questions?
20 very quickly. We'll ask you very quickly. And
okay. So all of them Google.
Yeah.
Wow, you just made our life so much easier.
Now we need to tap into attribution modeling.
No. We okay. Let's decide. It wouldn't be fair to put Google, which has been a search engine and using metrics
exactly.
and data
This is why I wanted to leave it out.
3 decades,
Sure.
almost 4. You know, comparing to social media platforms. So let's stick to social media. Let's call. And anyways, Google is participating because YouTube is Google, right? So
So
let's do it that way.
All right. Cool. Yeah, let's start. So what is the most comprehensive audience targeting options?
Facebook, Meta.
Okay. Best tools for ad creation, customization, and optimization.
TikTok.
Wow. Most robust analytics and reporting features for performance tracking.
YouTube.
Variety of ad formats for engaging audiences. I think everybody, they just have
no,
the
I
same
would say
ad formats.
Snapchat.
Snapchat has
Well, they are lenses and the filters.
Story ads,
exactly.
lenses,
Best ROAS, return on ad spend.
Well, it's still YouTube, although it's declining.
Wow, YouTube.
I'm impressed. Okay, go on.
This is not last click attribution.
It's not last click.
Not last click.
No,
attribution.
not last click. No, that's
ROAS.
ROAS. Wow.
Overall,
because
yeah.
YouTube, you're okay. So
for your type
just to sit on that.
products.
No, people are used to spending longer on YouTube. They don't get frustrated. You know, when you have a 2-minute video on YouTube, you feel it's short. While 2 minutes on TikTok or Snapchat,
But those
might
are
feel like
millennials,
forever.
not Gen Zers. Like, does it differ also between
Of
demographics?
course it differs, but you have to understand that Gen Zers usually have less of and already know before acquiring. So that's
which is TikTok. More than.
Exactly.
So do you change your answer?
No.
Okay.
I still agree.
All right.
ROAS is still the highest. Is still YouTube.
Okay. Interesting. Best dynamic product ads and catalog integration.
TikTok.
Most advanced retargeting and remarketing capabilities.
The Facebook, Meta.
Okay. Highest engagement rates. Ad interaction.
Highest in TikTok.
Definitely. Most effective for reaching e-commerce friendly audiences.
Meta.
Most seamless integration with e-commerce platforms.
Meta.
Okay.
Pixel.
Yeah. Best ad approval processes and turnaround times.
TikTok.
Most advanced product recommendation algorithm.
Meta.
Best ad viewability and transparency.
YouTube.
Most advanced AI and machine learning capabilities for optimizing an ad performance.
Meta.
Wow. Best suited for rapidly expanding advertising campaigns.
Ramping up, basically.
Like audience network?
TikTok. Ramping up campaigns.
No, ramping up campaigns.
Facing.
You can build on top of the fact that TikTok allows you to create filters and organically use these filters onto other videos. It creates that kind of, fad. So, for example, somebody creates a hat that he puts on himself, but then he puts that filter on TikTok. You can't have the same. You don't have the same type of command on other social medias.
So you just take this video that's already done.
Yeah, and then whoever created that filter knows exactly how many videos have been created. So it kind of like creates a type of snowball effect.
Yeah, snowball effect, 100%. All right. Most effective for driving app installs and in-app actions or in-app events. Quickest to generate sales.
TikTok.
Best.
But quickest.
Yeah.
Quickest, not the biggest number of
not the
sales.
biggest, quickest. Okay. Best.
So with TikTok, if you didn't sell within 10 seconds, you're not selling.
Okay.
That's
interesting insight. All right, noted.
Best at tracking customer lifetime value.
Google or YouTube.
What is Google? It's fine.
And that's it.
No, I know, but for me, when I say Meta, it's technically Facebook, Instagram, right? But it's more Facebook because we're used to it.
Yeah.
Because it's been there longer. Snapchat, Instagram only started having
brand equity.
This type of brand integrations very later on. Snapchat when it started was just people sharing pictures, right?
It was called Facebook Ads Manager, right?
Yeah.
Even after Instagram.
It's still now. It's still Facebook Ad Manager, correct? I think it's changed to Meta recently, right? A year ago.
But
even after they launched Instagram.
Exactly. Even after they launched Instagram, it was still under Facebook, correct?
Yeah. This was very insightful, amazing. Yeah. Thanks, Zeina. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jad.
Thank you.